Good morning. I'm Harley Schlanger from the LaRouche organization with your daily video update for April 10th, 2024. Today I'm going to be discussing the effects of the Ukraine proxy war run by NATO and the United States on Germany. Germany has been an unfortunately willing participant both in the Ukraine war and in support for the Israeli policy against the Palestinians. And it's paying a price that's leading to record low levels of support for the coalition parties, the Social Democrats, the Free Democrats, and the Green Party. They're collapsing. They're now less than 1/3 of the German voters support these parties. So they're highly unpopular. And part of the reason for that is that Germany is undergoing a degeneration of its infrastructure. You have the farm sector in revolt against the green policies of regulation, the cheap imports coming in from Ukraine, and the higher costs, which include diesel fuel going through the roof. And then on top of that, you have a rapid deindustrialization underway. Remember, Germany's industrial economy, centered on the auto sector, machine tool sector, engineering, and so on, has been the driver of the European Union. It's now in reverse. The latest figures on industrial production for Germany show a 7-month straight decline marked by a 4.9% drop over that period in industrial production. Almost 5% drop in industrial production over the last 7 months. During the whole of 2023, the economy shrank with output down 0.3%. They're optimistically projecting 0.1% increase in the next quarter, although now they're shedding doubt on that. Manufacturing is down. New construction is very low, well short of both demand and needs. Energy costs remain high as a major part of inflation, and as a result, the interest rates set by the European Union continue to be quite high. And there's a shortage of skilled labor. Now, it's all exacerbated by something called the debt brake, which is now part of the basic law of Germany, which is that you have to limit the increase in debt to a percentage of GDP, which means that you have to have austerity rather than spending where it's necessary. So one of the things they do is they take funds that should be allocated for the upgrade of things such as infrastructure and instead spend it on climate mandates. And this is a double negative, that instead of investing in those areas which improve the productivity, that is infrastructure, research and development, job training, and so on, instead, they're putting it on climate regulations that's part of the transition, which is reducing productivity. So it's a double negative. That's the ideology of the green policy, which is being faithfully inputted by the present government. Now you have a debate over whether the debt brake should be evaded. Should they break with the debt brake? The Lindner of the Free Democrats is rigorously insisting you cannot do that because if you increase the debt, you wreck the economy. Now, meanwhile, the defense minister, Pistorius, is saying but Germany must spend more on defense to make Germany war ready. In other words, there's a need for more debt for military because of the so-called threat from Vladimir Putin and Russia. And so more credit for defense spending is being called for, that this would be an exception to the debt brake. Now, Pistorius said, quote, "The best digital libraries and the best cycle highways are of no use to us if we're under attack and unable to defend ourselves," unquote. So Putin is making Germany commit economic suicide. I mean, this is absurd. Look at the examples he uses, digital libraries and bicycle lanes. Does it hurt to cut spending for those things? Well, of course, the idea is if you have to have a trade-off, the idea of bicycle lanes as a necessary adjunct to an industrial economy is not such a great idea. But it's absurd because the question is, what is the use of credit? Now, meanwhile, the auto sector is undergoing a downsizing in Germany. The 2024 auto sales are projected to be 25% lower than the pre-COVID era levels of sales. Electric car sales down 16%. There was a big push to upgrade the electrical car production in Germany, and it's falling flat. It's just impractical and useless. Total auto production is down, and companies are relocating their production and manufacturing facilities. According to the Federation of German Industrialists, 1/3 of manufacturing and assembly plants will leave Germany in the next couple of years, and 1/4 of the services related to those industries will also leave. And where are they going? To the US and Asia. Now, the one exception to this downsizing is defense sector, in particular Rheinmetall, which is the largest military hardware and ammunition producer in Germany and in Europe. They're on a spending spree. They're buying other defense companies and building new sites, which when completed will make Rheinmetall the world's largest ammunition producer. Why? To defend Germany from the hordes of Russian military forces that Putin is about to unleash on the West. Now, this brings us back to the question of the role of credit. And in the eyes of neoliberal free market fanatics, all credit is either bad or suspect, especially if it's credit that comes from the government, because it adds to the government deficit. Now, what they're failing to recognize is what Alexander Hamilton and the founding fathers of the United States understood, which is that debt, as Hamilton said, could be a national blessing if it's channeled into areas of the physical economy which increase productivity, including such areas that immediately are not related directly to productivity, such as infrastructure. But without good roads, bridges, ports, highways, the economy doesn't function very well. So the idea of debt as an investment in upgrading the overall physical economy, well, that's credit. And a national credit policy will allow for an increase in the value added of the overall production of the economy. So this future value added comes from research and development, new plant and equipment, better wages and training, and so on. In other words, spending money for the purposes of future value. Now, if you're afraid of that debt and you don't spend it, you lower the overall productivity, and then you end up needing debt to cover past debt because you're not generating enough income to cover the debt that you already have and the interest on that debt. And that's based on a failure to recognize the difference between liquidity, that is keeping firms liquid through generating increased debt, as opposed to solvent, which means producing enough new wealth to cover previous debt. Now, corporate managers are concerned first with finance today, including in Germany. And that means they're concerned more with liquidity than they are with actual solvency. And as a result, they agree to have austerity, including austerity on government investments. Now, Lyndon LaRouche, who is the premier economist over the last half century, once suggested that modern corporate management, based on the MBA degrees and so on, you no longer have industrial or engineering experience in the financial office, just accountants. He said that if you give them a choice between investing $100,000 in a string of whorehouses or investment in industrial research and development, they would choose the whorehouses because, as LaRouche said, they would think this would give them more bang for the buck. Now, that's not just a bad joke, it's unfortunately reality. And it's the heart of the economic suicide that we're seeing being committed by the foolish managers of the German economy. Now, as for defense spending, with the neocons allied with the neoliberals for austerity on social spending, but increased spending for war, this is not in the interests of a population, but is certainly greatly appreciated by the managers of the military industrial financial complex, the corporate cartels, which depend on the military buildup to defend their neo-colonialist order, the so-called rules-based order. This is not going to end well, and there must be an immediate rethinking of policy, thinking about this question of credit and debt from the standpoint of LaRouche's approach to the American system, rather than the financial manager's approach to how do I increase my personal profit in the next 6 to 10 months. Now, we'll be discussing this today when I have my weekly dialogue with Helga Zepp-LaRouche. This will be among the topics we discuss, and you can find it at the schillerinstitute.com. It will begin at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. If you can't make it live, it will be archived. And then I want to remind you again that this is the approach, the LaRouche approach, in the OASIS project, which is not merely a peace plan, but is the basis for reviving a global industrial development capability that will break with the idiocy of the free trade, free market policy, and instead create the potential for peace and security based on development. So thanks for joining me. I will see you again tomorrow. Hello, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Support our independence to produce videos like these. Become a member of the LaRouche organization at thelarouche.org/member. By becoming a member for $25 or more, you'll get special access to the EIR Alert Daily Briefing and Weekly Magazine, which is what I read to stay on top of things.